We call this session of order, revision of order, and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, Treaty 3 territory. With me today in the studio here is Brent McIntyre, and by Zoom is Liv Nisbet. My name is Harvey Diamond. The assessment department also attending by Zoom is Lana Scheibel, and our administrative assistant today is Jaswinder Kumar. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act, the matters for which revision is requested. Happy to describe each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and they've been speaking to a matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparative assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at the hearing and issues a written order that we mail to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board, the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench, the matter pertains to an application for exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on do so will be included with our order. With respect to the hearing process, I'll confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed. With each applicant following the swearing in, we'll then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, then that applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish to do so. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. Receive our board's order by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and be part of the public record. Today we'll be hearing items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And Mr. Kumar, you can swear in the parties.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Madam Assessor, please state your full name.
Svetlana Scheibel.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, stand up. State your full name. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
The first matter that we're dealing with is I guess there's a property interest on Vegas Street that's not on the agenda. And Ms. Scheibel, when you're ready, you can proceed with that.
Thank you, Chairman. File number 22-2495. It's roll number 040072545655. It's located on Pingu Street. Owner is Cosca Wholesale Canada Limited. We are valuing the subject property as a stand of January 1st, 2023, based on economic condition of April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $988,000, is that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. On page 2nd on my brief, we can see subject property pictures. It's located behind Costco warehouse, facing region behind. It's used like parking lots. a size of 40,629 square feet. It was sold in 2016 for 651,000. On page number 3 of my brief, we can see that it's C2 commercial property. This district is intended to accommodate more intensive commercial site. These do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. The district is intended to include attractive commercial, institutional, recreational, and service facilities needed to support the surrounding neighborhood and broader community. On page number 4, subject property market sale comparison approach. Subject property land value, we estimate at for 4,629 square feet at $24.32 per square feet. I did presented land sale comparable, 6 of them. Subject property located in neighborhood 417 Pinguis. Two first of my comparables, same neighborhood. First comparables on Lagimadier, 90 more around 100,000 square feet commercial. Was sold in 2018 for $3,500,000 at $36.06 per square foot. This sale, it's 3 years before reference date. It should be upward adjustment for sale per square foot. Also, it should be downward upward adjustment for high by economic scale because it's 100,000 square feet, and we're looking on subject property around 40,000 square feet. My second comparable, same neighborhood, Transcorum Boulevard. It's residential property, around 12,000 square feet, residential multifamily. It was sold in 2017 at $23.07 per square foot. It should be have a time adjustment upward because it's sold in 2017. We have effective years for appraisal 2021. Also, should be an adjustment for land area because our subject property 40,000, we have 12,000 square feet. My third comparables close to 417, 418. River is close neighborhood. It's around 26,000 square feet. Was sold in 2015. It's asking for 6 years upward adjustment for time. It was sold for $36.34 per square foot. My fourth comparables on Regent Avenue, around 56,000 square feet, close to subject property, sold in 2012 for $13 per square foot. It should be has time adjustment upward. My comparable number 5 on Henderson Highway, sold in 2018 for $39.29 per square foot. Square footage, it's over 21,000 square feet. In my last comparables on McLeod Industrial 428 neighborhood, it's around 35,000 square feet commercial, was sold 2020 in August for $23.86 per square foot. It's close to subject property site and close to reference date. More information, photo of my subject property was assessed, it's model driven, $24.32. It's very well supported by my land sale comparables. A photo of this land sale comparables, all my comparables presented on page number 8. First on Lajimadier has irregular shape, sold $35 per square foot. Second comparables, rectangle shape on page number 8, $23 in 2017. On page number 9, another comparables, sold in 2015 for $36 per square foot, a regular shape. My fourth comparables on Regent Avenue, sold in 2012, it's a regular shape for $13 per square foot. On page number 10, on land sale comparables on Henderson, sold in 2018 for $39 per square foot. And my last comparables on McLeod Avenue, sold in 2020, $23.86 per square foot. It's a regular shape. Let's come back to page 5. We don't need it, sorry. Because it's land, we don't do income approach. Thank you. So based on my evidence, I request to maintain 2023 assessed value of subject property of $988,000 or $24.32 per square foot. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Regarding your first comparable on page 4 of your brief. Now, this is fronting Lajimodier, correct?
Correct. It's 1555 Lajimodier Boulevard.
Okay. So the main point here is, does the exposure actually add value to this lot or this parcel?
Correct. That's why sale of this property, $35 per square foot. We assess around $24. It's taken into consideration.
And you're aware of the development here? Are you aware of what type of development went in here?
I didn't check this, but I can look into. It's a C2 commercial property. It can be a commercial, industrial, recreational, and service facility. It's a lot of broad variety for developments. But at the moment of sale in 2018, it was vacant commercial land.
Okay. Now, it is a car dealership. So getting back to the point of exposure, in the case of a car dealership, exposure would be vital, correct?
Yeah, that's why it's sold for $35 and we assess it $24 per square foot.
Good, thank you very much. In terms of your second comparable, you've included a parcel that is 12,135 square feet. It's on the small side, but it's RMFS, residential multifamily.
Correct. Because I found only 2 comparables for this neighborhood, just for our view that residential property, a small piece, small piece of land sell less as commercial for $23 per square foot.
So just to get into your reasoning for choosing these, you were going for the location, I guess the neighborhood, correct?
Correct. I just investigate location. Okay. Neighborhood, how much sell commercial and residential.
Okay.
So it sell between $23 and $35.
Now, in comparison to our subject is a parking lot, correct?
For our case, it's a piece of commercial land. It could be in future developed.
No, it's been developed. Do you know what it is?
Right now, it's used like parking lot.
And would you be able to build residential under that zoning without some type of variance on it?
To build residential, it should be zoning change because we allowed build commercial, institutional, recreational, and service facility or current zoning.
So I'll move to your next comparable, which is 2033 Henderson Highway. And the only question that I want to ask here is, again, relating to the issue of exposure. You are on a main, I guess you would call it a main thoroughfare, main arterial. Exposure is what you are getting from this purchase, correct?
Correct. Henderson Highway, it's like region highway, very good exposure.
And the price reflects that.
Correct.
Okay. Now,
And this close neighborhood, if subject property 417, it's 418. I just try to find closest comparables. And plus it was sold in 2015. It should be 6 years upward adjustment for time, at least.
Right. Now, in terms of your next one, again, Regent Avenue, the same issue, exposure is driving the value, correct?
Correct. Subject property behind Coscown region. My comparables number 4 was sold in 2012. It's asking for 8 years upward adjustment.
Okay.
In downward adjustment for location because
Right.
it's yes, high exposure, correct.
Okay. Now, in terms of your next one, again, the price reflects a property that is fronting a main thoroughfare, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
but it's close to subject neighborhood 400 between 417. It's this 434. So when my choice was find everything closest as possible, that's
Okay.
why I include 2018 sale.
Mhm.
But subject my comparables number 5 half size of subject property, have high exposure, should downward adjustment for high exposure, but should be upward adjustment for time.
Okay.
It's 3 years prior to reference years. It's sold for $39.
Right. So the next comparable is the comparable number 789 McLeod. This is on the corner of McLeod and Gateway, correct?
Correct. It's 428 McLeod Industrial. It's commercial property, still very close to a reference date, August 2020. Right. It's close to in size because it's around 35,000 square feet and sold for $23.86. And we assess it's $24.32. It's reasonable to conclude that it's fair and should be confirmed.
So it's got access from 2 points, correct? From Gateway and from McLeod, conceivably. I don't know if it's been developed, but
yeah, it has it's
the corner lot.
Yes, medium traffic.
Okay.
It's like subject property, medium traffic. It's not.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Heavy traffic.
Yeah. Ms. Nisbet, do you have any questions of the assessor?
No, I have no additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Brent, do you have any questions?
Just, so this property is being used as a parking lot presently?
Correct.
And it's adjoining the Costco site on Regent, correct?
They have a road between. If you look on my page number 3, subject property rectangle, and it's adjacent to Costco on left, yeah, on bottom, on north, on south.
But it's common with the property line on the Costco site, correct?
Yes, correct. It's right behind Costco. Yeah, better picture on page number 2. It's a red rectangle shape. It's a subject property in white building on south. It's a Costco.
And is the surface parking lot solely for the use of Costco customers?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's
It's a free for parking. That's why it's just land value, but it's still huge piece of land, 40,000 square feet. Today it's parking lot for Costco. Tomorrow it can be developed. It's commercial land.
But in terms of the Costco site, you don't assess for that parking separately, do you?
We assess separately piece of land because they divide by a road. We don't measure together.
Okay, that was my only question.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions, so Ms. Navarro, you can go forward.
Okay, we're looking at roll 0400725465, file number 222495. And the property owner is Costco Wholesale Canada Limited. This is a 40,629 square foot parcel. There may be a slight, there is no variance. C2 commercial zoning, and the current assessment is 988,000. On page 3, you can see the intended use of the report and the intended user. On page 4, you can see the scope of the work. Generally, I do drive-bys on all properties, so these have all been looked at. Property site maps on page 6, and you can see the parcel with the star on it. And again, this is a contiguous parcel. There is no separation between this and the Costco. And you can see on page 7 that, again, it is used as parking for the Costco, and it is on the corner of Pegler Street and Reindeers Drive, north of Regent Avenue West. In terms of its highest and best use, its current use is considered its highest and best use. On page 10, you can see the comparables that we've chosen. We've only chosen 4 comparables, slightly larger. However, the dates in terms of the sales are around just a little bit before the reference date. In terms of the sale values, it's hard to really get down to something exact in this case because it is off of the main thoroughfare. And you'll note that even these ones that I have here are for the most part fronting. I'll just wait to.
It's competition right now.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're looking for something that is ideally exactly like the subject. Unfortunately, there is not much like it. So it is not fronting a main thoroughfare, and that is the problem with these properties, or at least these property comparables, is that they will show higher values because they do front major arteries. You'll note that our comparable number 4, which is the lowest, is more of an outlier altogether. It is a commercial parcel. It is zone C2. It's slightly, well, it is bigger than our subject, and it is valued at $8.23 per square foot. The sale is slightly older. We think that this is probably not a good reflection of value, but we will note that this is what happens to commercial value when property does not front a main artery. So that is one of those important key points about commercial, or it could be retail, banking, whatever, gas stations. They all need to front main thoroughfares. That's the important thing about them. In this case, I don't think we have that. That's the reason why it's being used as parking, other than the fact that, Costco needs that parking. We've chosen a value of $18.50 per square foot. That gives us a rounded value of $758,000. You can see our comparables 1 through 4 in the appendix. And I am open for questions.
Do you have any questions of the applicant?
Yes, I would like to ask about comparable number 4 of 31 Burnell Street. Do you are aware that it was multi-sale from Business Concern Canada Limited and Thunder House Development Incorporated? It's correct?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Your comparables number 4 was multi-sale. Is it correct?
I wasn't aware of that, no.
Your comparable number 3 of it's and also Burnell Street. It's far away from subject property. That it's right? That it's correct?
It's superior, I would say.
Your comparable number 3, 203 Sage Creek, was sold from Regina-based developer, and it also appeals to multifamily developments, correct?
Well, it is Zone C2. I don't know what it was developed into, but
Okay, keep going. Sorry. And also, did you check that same day sale of 2 adjoining parcels also sold for nearly the same rate through its own residential?
well, what I would say is that the properties are superior, and trying to find a property that is away from the main artery is the issue. So we still think that our $18.50 per square foot is valid, and that's our point.
Your comparable number 1 on 865 Henderson and I comparable number 5, we use same comparables, correct?
Correct. Correct. And it is, again, what is driving the price, and I've said that before. Anytime you have a property fronting a main artery like that, that is what you need for commercial properties. So you're not gonna find them in the in streets. You're gonna find them on main arteries. They need that exposure, and that's why they pay for it. And what we're saying is that this property is not fronting the main artery. It is slightly away from it. Hence the use for it as a parking lot.
Thank you. No questions. Other questions?
Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions?
Well, I have one as a bit of clarification. You've got the assessment or the value at $751,637 rounded to 758.
Oh, sorry, that should be 752. Yeah.
And the other question was, since you both picked the same comparison, and is Peguis, which is adjoining Kildonan Place shopping center area, is Peguis not a bus route and heavy traffic? Because it feeds, I believe it feeds Kildonan Place and Costco.
I mean, I would say that it's probably medium traffic. However, it's not the same type of exposure as Region or Henderson. So I guess that's the point that we've tried to make, but it is medium traffic.
Okay, that was my only question.
Ms. Nisbet, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions, thanks.
And I don't either. Thank you very much. So we'll proceed with our next property, item number 2. Ms. Sheva, when you're ready, you can proceed.
File number 22-2400. It's roll number 400-7254660. It's located in Pingu Street. It's belong to Costco Wholesale Canada Limited. We are valuing the subject property as stand of January 1st, 2023, based on economic condition April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $1,223,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. On my page number 2, we can see this property was purchased for $1,222,000 in 2016. It's 5 years before our reference date. It's a parking lot for Costco located on region. It's a rectangular shape of property. It's 63,527 square feet. It has a community commercial. We assess this property at $19.25 per square foot. This property has land influence bus route and medium traffic. I presented same range of comparables from a neighborhood for 17 for Piguis, River East, Mission Garden, Rosemary, and McLean Industrial. Should I skip this or keep? I'm sorry. It's the same type of property like previous case, my comparables.
It's comparable, so we're aware of them, and I'm sure Mr. Navarro is too, so you don't have to go through it again, as you used to say.
So I am recommended to maintain the 2023 assessed value of $1,223,000 or $19.25 per square foot. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Navarro, any questions of the assessment department?
In this example, you've adjusted for the size of the property?
Correct.
And
it's economic of scale.
Okay, and the location?
Yes.
Okay, so we've discussed the other points, so I don't think we need to go over them again, just for...
Very nice. And I'm sure that we'll see if there's any questions from panel members. Elizabeth, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
And I don't either, thank you. Okay, Mr. Navarro, you can proceed.
Okay, so this is Realty Roll 0400-725-4660, file number 222499. And again, this is the same ownership, Costco Wholesale Canada Limited. And this is 1.5 acres, 65,340 square feet, zone C2. Current assessment is $1,233,000. The intended use of the report on page 3 for the scope of the work. If you turn to page 6, you can see the location. So you'll note that the previous example was the parcel that was directly adjacent to the Costco. There is a parcel that is in between these two, and you can see it. It is actually a hydro substation with, I guess, a right of way that is being used by Costco for additional parking. But ours is the one with the star on it. And it is larger than our previous example, again, 65,340 square feet. We've used the same comparables again, and then adjusted for size. Other than that, everything that I've presented here was presented in the previous example, so I don't think I need to go into it any further.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure there aren't any questions. And Cheryl, any questions of the applicant?
No questions.
Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
I have no questions.
And Elizabeth, do you have any questions?
No questions.
And just for clarification, this too is being used as a parking lot by Costco.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll proceed then with agenda item number 3. Is your phone
File
to 1023? Go ahead, Michelle.
File number 22-1023. It's a roll number 12092505500. The subject property located on Broadway is owned by 3671705 Manitoba Limited. We are valuing the property as stand of January 1st, 2023, based on economic condition April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $638,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed on this subject property has 5,812 square feet. A good photo of subject property on page number 2. It's facing Broadway along the multifamily buildings. Subject property was sold in 2004 for $1 million. We assess only 638,000 square feet. The subject property located in neighborhood Broadway, Assiniboine, 165. Has multiple use sector zoning, intend to encourage the range of uses, sites, activities, and buildings type to diverse and vibrant central business district. The build from it's also diverse, ranging from high-rise tower and portrait main to more intimately scaled building along Graham Avenue. Urban design review is intended to enhance pedestrian comfort and encourage high-quality built form. On page number 4, I did presented subject property market sale comparison approach. Subject property, it's 5,812 square feet, has multiple zoning, industrial, multiple zoning, we assess it's $109.77. I have presented land sale comparables and downtown vacant land and parking lots, 4 of them. Let's look on my first comparables, 286 Gary Street. It's located at one South Portage, close to the subject property, was sold in 2015 for $107.37. It has same zoning like subject property in very close area of 6,054 square feet. But it should be upward adjustment for time adjustment because it sold in 2015 and our reference date 2021, it's 6 years upward adjustment. My comparable number second on 4242 Hargrave, neighborhood South Portage, used like a parking lot, sold in 2016 for $96.98. It has same zoning, but seven very huge area, more than 70,000 square feet. Should upward adjustment by economic of scale plus time adjustment for 5 years from 2016 to 2021. My third comparables on Carlton Street, same neighborhood, South Portage, was sold in 2016. Same area, around 6,000 square feet, was sold for $100.03 per square foot. Has same zoning, multiple use sector, but sold in 2016. It asking upward adjustment for 5 years. My comparable number 4 on 44 Hargrave Street on same neighborhood like subject property, Broadway, Assiniboine 165, was sold in 2017, very close size, 6,034 square feet, has sold for $142.28. This comparable shop upward has time adjustment between 2017 2021. It's 4 years upward. So subject property and land valuation assessed at $109.70 per square foot. It's very well supported by my land sale comparables. On page, let's check what I have more. Okay. On page number 5, I have presented some comparable property 2020 reported rental rate for surface parking, and you can see from 14 comparables, media $92.78. Mean media $92.24, mean 60 minimum from $64 to maximum $127. It's stabilized rates for parking lot. On page number 9, I presented income expense mailer, but we know that it was during COVID, downtown was empty. That's why we assessed like land value. On page number 11, we can see real information about this subject property, Donnelly Broadway. It's operated by Impact. And we can see that it's parking lot by Impact number 19. The hourly rate $4 per hour, daily $15 per hour, evening weekend $4 maximum until 6 p.m. Random parking $200 per square foot per stall. On page 12, showed that this lot by Impact, it's 71 Donald Street on Donald and Broadway, has together 111 parking space. It's surface parking. I guess that's it. 1 second, I'm lost in. On page number 13 and 14, I presented my land sale comparables. Let's go to page 13. First, my comparables on Gary Street. Same all subject property, 6,000 square feet, sold for $107 per square foot. On Hargrave, very huge piece of land, 70,000 for $97 per square foot, rectangle shape. My comparable on Carlton, same zoning, same size, 6,000 square feet for $100 per square foot, but it's sold in 2016. And my 4 comparables on Hargrave, sold similar like subject property, 6,000 square feet, was sold for $142 per square foot. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, I do. I'll start with the first one, which is 286 Gary Street on your page 4. That is your comparable number 1.
Correct?
Okay.
Yes.
286 Gary Street. Did you follow up on this sale?
This in moment of sale 2015, it's a vacant land sold for $107 per square foot.
Okay.
And
were you
use
aware-
from my photo, we can see it's used like parking lot.
Right. Were you aware that the adjacent parcel was also purchased by the same owner, and it was developed into, I believe, a restaurant bar, and the land that we are looking at, which is 286 Gary Street, was used as parking for that property?
Yeah, on my photo on page number 13, on my photo, we can see it's parking lot facing Gary Street.
Okay. Your next comparable, which is 242 Hargrave Street. This is the True North development, correct?
Correct, and we can see that it's 70,000 square feet and used like parking lot and has same zoning like a subject property.
And you're aware of the size and also the, what I would call perfect configuration as a square parcel?
Correct.
Is one better than the other?
17,000 square feet, it's a huge piece of land. Rest of my three comparables close to the subject property, 6,000 square feet. My second comparable, 70,000 square feet, sold for $97 per square foot. It's economic of scale. So it could be, but same zoning and very close to the subject property.
Okay. And for the property on Carlton also, were you also aware that the property was purchased by the same owner of the adjacent property, now the Sutton Hotel?
On my photo on page number 14, we can see it's parking lot, used like parking lot, but it was sold in 2016. But same zoning, same size, for $100 per square foot. Need to time adjustment.
Okay. And your 44 Hargrave Street, that, were you aware, was also purchased with 62 Hargrave?
On my photo, it's still vacant land today. And very close in size, but sold for $142 per square foot. And we assess resales.
Right. But you are aware that it was purchased with another property?
Correct, everything purchased.
Okay. Okay. Now, the next question is, what is the highest and best use of this property?
This vacant land. You can see all my comparable sales like vacant land, and 3 of them use like parking lot and 4 for just vacant land still. This piece of land could be future developed, but right now it's vacant land, and surface parking lot is just temporary use.
So is it parking?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now it's parking.
Okay, so that leads to my next question, which is...
And 3 of my comparables use like parking too.
Yep. Now, my next question is based on your page 5. Did you value this property using parking rates, or did you value this property using land rates?
We value this property using land value.
But the highest and best use is parking.
According to zoning, it can be parking, yes, correct.
May I ask why you didn't use income?
Because COVID situation was no use of parking in downtown, but it's most business related. But it's piece of land, I defend like land value.
Mm-hmm.
Same in our model.
You've provided an income and expense mailer as evidence. Now, can you point out exactly what properties are included in this income and expense mailer?
Let's look together. It's was 296 and 304 Broadway for
These properties?
296 and 304 Broadway. It was reported to us.
So 304 Broadway, I'm just going to go on a limb and say that is the property that we're looking at right now, correct? It's just a civic address that doesn't match what's in the, I guess, the assessment information.
Yeah, it's Broadway.
It's on the corner. What the property that we're looking at is on the corner of Broadway and Donald, correct?
Correct.
It's a 24 stall parking lot.
But we assess like land value.
And so your purpose for including this income and expense information?
Purpose, what was provided to us. I just disclosure information about the subject property. It's a norm of routine, put an addenda.
So can you confirm whether the parking lot below the property that we're looking at is included in the income and expense mailer?
I don't use income expense mailer because we assess subject property like vacant land.
And you've stated that the highest and best use of the property is parking at the moment, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the last one pertains to all of these comparables that you've used. Do you think that the comparables that you've used for major developments are appropriate for this subject?
Yes, all my comparables located in downtown. Plus, they have two of my comparables has same zoning. 3 of my comparable has same size, 6,000 square feet, and assess and was sell between $100 per square foot to $142 per square foot. And we assess only at $109.77. It's reasonable and very well supported by my comparables.
Very good. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
So you indicated in this hearing that there should be time adjustments to these sales prices that you have quoted, correct?
Correct.
Yet there was no paired sales within your brief that would give the board any idea of what a time adjustment would be. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you for pointing. Yes, in my previous briefs, I presented per sale analysis and I completely forgot here, my mistake. Thank you. I will be alert about it for future submission. But from my previous per analysis I presented in September 2nd, it's at least 0.9% per month, my per sale analysis showed.
Okay, thank you.
Is this any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Shabbo, I guess I have a question. So you indicated on the property in question we're dealing with right now, the best use of the property is a parking lot, the way it's being used right now, correct?
It's currently used like parking lot, but it's a vacant land with multi-use zoning, multi-use sector.
Okay. So what are you saying then? Are you saying that it can't be developed or it can be developed? Because
It can be developed,
I would
it can
think
use
that
like
it can't
parking
be
lot.
developed. If its best use is a parking lot, that would say that it can't be developed. Is that correct?
It can be developed and can stay parking lot. That's why I presented my 4 comparables. They use like parking lots, but it's still piece of land what I value.
Okay, still not clear. So are you telling me then that it can be developed? Or are you saying that its best use is a parking lot and it won't be developed?
It's a both option. It can stay a few years more, can stay several years like parking lot, and can be also developed.
Developed into what? What could be developed into?
So if you open page number 3 for this zoning, today's zoning, intend to encourage the range of uses, sites, activities, and buildings type to a diverse and vibrant central business district. The built form is also device ranging from high-rise towers at Portage and Main to more intimate scale building along Graham Avenue. Urban design review is intended to enhance pedestrian comfort and encourage high-quality building form. My land sale comparables, 3 of them, has same zoning, and 2 of them have same size and was sold in between $100 per square foot and $107 per square foot, but sold in 2016 and 2015. So it should.
Just a minute. Yes, my question. I guess the reason why I asked it was because Mr. Navarro asked you, and you said to him that the best use of this property was a parking lot, and that made you think that it is developable. Now you're basically saying that it is, and so let's look at your comparisons then. That you say have the same zoning. Are they easier to develop than this one? Is property going to be a hard property to develop because of its frontage?
Because it's
where's located, or why did you answer Mr. Navarro the way you did? Because that's where you're confusing me.
It's a rectangle shape of a property. It's undeveloped. Some intimate scale building. Yes, urban design.
Okay, well, good. Mr. Navarro, you can proceed. Thank you.
This is 0 Broadway, file number 221023. And you can see the client and ownership information there on page 2. Current assessment is $638,000. Intended use of the report, intended user, scope of the work on page 4, and on page 5, hypothetical conditions, extraordinary assumptions and limiting conditions, property site map, and a photo, and the current dimensions of the property and description on page 7, which is again 5,812 square feet and zoned multiple use. This is where I think things become important and why I asked that question. On page 8, you can see that the highest and best use is parking lot. That's what we've chosen. It hasn't transitioned into anything else, and there is no indication that it would transition anytime soon. We have also provided some supplementary information. There was a multi-res cap rate report, which you're probably wondering why I stuck that in there. But we do believe that the current highest and best use is its continued use as a parking lot. Because of that, we have used the income approach. Now, on page 10, you can see my income workup. I'm sure at some point or another, you've probably seen my income workups for parking. They are pretty standardized. I start out with a gross income, and that's usually based on parking rates, which you'll see on the next page. And you can see that I've chosen a parking rate of $170 for these stalls. That gives me a gross income of $48,960. And I've come to a 45% expense ratio, which is a typical expense ratio for parking in the downtown. I don't vary very much from this. The only times that I'll actually vary from the 45% is where there's a clear indication that there is a lower expense ratio. It's usually caused by large parking lots. So there is some economies of scale even in the expenses for larger parking lots. So there are times when I do reduce the expense ratios, but for a small parking lot like this, 45% is a typical amount. And you can see that that creates a net operating income of $26,928. That works out to about $93.50 net per stall. And you can actually see in the assessor's page 5 that their mean is $92.78. That is net. So you can see that we are actually slightly above the city's net. We've applied a 5.25% cap rate. That is partly due to the fact that this is a smaller parking lot. So you're not going to be able to generate as much income. And also because of the size, you're probably looking at a parking lot that can't be as readily developed as something that is larger. And lastly, the effects of COVID. So were there any effects on parking due to COVID? Of course there were. And we're reflecting that in the cap rate. So the main thing was that incomes fell quite a bit. And they continued to be down. So whereas some people may say, well, that's just a blip in the market. No, it was a change in the market. Parking has changed. And it has gone along the way of office properties where vacancies have been affected in the downtown. You can obviously see that parking is related to office tenancy. So there's nothing to say that COVID was not we could call it a game changer. It certainly changed values for parking and at least for incomes in parking. So we do think that there's some additional risk to these properties, although we didn't increase the risk that much. 5.25 is a cap rate that we had even last cycle for some properties. So we're not varying very much from the past. We do think that there should be some additional risk associated with this parking lot for some of those factors that I've indicated. So we are looking for a value of 513,000 rounded. Let's see if I wrote that number correctly in our front page. Yes, 513,000. On page 11, again, you'll see my parking rates. This is a more detailed look at specific areas. So you'll see these this cycle a lot more in terms of the parking rates that we use. And that is my presentation. I hope before. Can I go into the cap rate report information?
Maybe it's part of your presentation.
It's part of my presentation. It's only going to take a minute. It's not going to be long.
Go ahead and ask questions.
Okay. So if you look at, I will point out the page for you. Yeah, this would be the apartment one. And you can look at page 37.
This is the second last. Yeah, that's the one.
Yes. Page 37.
Sorry, I'm still getting there. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, page 37.
Yeah. You might as well focus on 36 as well. So let's 36 and 37. So
Okay.
The reasoning for putting this information in here is that a lot of the demand for properties that are parking lots, and these are the properties that transition. So right now I can tell you about the project that is on the corner of Donald Street and St. Mary. That used to be a parking lot. The difference with that parking lot is that it was two large parking lots, which were combined to create a much larger footprint. So that type of property is driven by its dimensions and its also its density. So with a parking lot like the one that I'm mentioning, you're going to be able to develop a much higher, much more stories, higher density. It's going to be more valuable. With this type of property that we're looking at now, the subject, you don't have very many options. The most common type of development in the downtown is actually multi-res. So we're talking about residential mixed, multi-res mixed, or just straight multi-res. And you can see by the construction also, for example, Winnipeg Square redevelopment. That is probably one of the largest redevelopments in the city going on right now. What this information is showing you is the type of supply that is out there. And this is pending supply as of 2021. There are a lot of units coming online. And we've suggested as a group, Altus Group, that there is basically an oversupply of multi-res. So we don't see very many options for a type of property like that. Office properties are again on the decline. There's been a lot of issue, and that's because of the transition from workplace to home. And some of those people are coming back to work, but it has been very slow, and some people suggest that it may never really go back to what it was. So we still see the effects of that on parking. In terms of development, we also see that currently there is a huge oversupply of multi-res in the downtown and throughout the city of Winnipeg. There are other areas mentioned here. So there's not a lot of options right now. If you're a little guy like this, if you're a perfectly shaped 70,000 square foot lot, then you may have more options. But we don't think that this is one. We suggested that the highest and best use was a parking lot. That's why we validated it using the income approach. That's it.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
Yes. You would agree that direct comparison approaching based on price per square foot of similar properties transaction, and this method is generally the most reliable for land value, provided adequate support data is available. Correct?
I would not.
No questions.
Does this make any questions?
I do have a question. Mr. Navarro, you referred to the cap rate that you used in your analysis of 5.2. 5.25, correct?
Correct.
Sorry. And then you suggested that it would be similar to the previous cap rates used for parking lots. So in the downtown, pardon me?
Which were previously around 5%.
Yeah, I think the city's rate was 4.5, and I can't remember what
Right.
Altus
Never
used.
accepted 4.5 as a cap rate for.
Okay, so what sort of premium are you giving to the impact of COVID? Can you separate that out?
Yeah, only 0.25.
0.25 only?
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, I don't know if you mentioned that, but I did. If you did, I didn't. I missed it. So thanks for clarifying. So a normal cap rate you would use as 5, but with COVID, you're saying it should be 5.25.
I gave it a 5.25 rating. It is a corner lot, although there's not many options for this. But yeah, I just gave it a quarter point in terms of the cap rate adjustment. And
Okay.
you could say that from our 5%, okay? Because the city was, again, and we don't like to go into the previous, what was done.
No,
previously.
of course, no.
But in this particular case, we never accepted a 4.5% cap rate for parking, and we wouldn't accept one today.
Okay.
So our cap rates for specific areas will range probably between 5 and maybe even 5.5. There are some worse locations than this, and usually they're on the outskirts of the downtown. And that's just a general idea of what's going to happen with parking this cycle. But this one isn't a bad location. However, there are some limitations with this property, and that's what we've indicated.
I'm just going back to your analysis again. Sorry, I'm flipping around between your previous or the report that you were just talking about. And you're saying how many stalls?
24.
24. Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
Just if you go to page 10, which is your income and expense stabilized. You've taken the percentage 45, although there's no actuals for this property.
Well, actually, no. What I did was I presented based on the market. So what I believe I actually explained it while I was doing it, that I took the rate from this chart here on page 11. I chose a rate of $175 for the stalls per month. That is gross. And then I apply a 45% expense ratio.
Well, your rate on the chart is $170 per month.
Yes, it is, but I chose 170. Sorry, 170.
Clarify.
Yeah, I chose 170. It's taken from the gross. We apply an expense ratio to it. We come out to a net. I'm not going to point out why I didn't include the income and expenses. However, I will point out that the assessor's actually is 92.78, which is slightly lower than mine. However, in the income and expenses that you'll see in the assessor's brief on page 9, I know this income and expense mailer simply because I've looked at it before.
And this is the one that covers 2 properties.
It covers 2 properties, exactly. So it covers our 24 stalls plus another 84 stalls below it in the parking lot along Donald Street, just below it. So 108 stalls. If you look at the net, based on the net operating income in there, it comes out to $91 net per stall. So again, we're around the same neighborhood. And I'm trusting of the methodology that I use for parking. It tends not to fail me. I could have included this and it would have come out to about $91 per stall, a little bit lower than what I have. But it comes out exactly to what the city's information is saying on it as well. So
here's my last question: is in the downtown area, don't parking stalls and expenses vary by size? In other words, is it true that it's more expensive to clear snow on a 5,800 square foot lot than a large lot? So 70,000 square feet?
yeah, you would think so, but my experience is that it doesn't. I mean, you do get some economies of scale in the expenses. And that is my reasoning for saying that I actually reduced the expense ratio on larger lots. But this is, again, a very small lot. I mean, in comparison to, say, a 20,000 square foot lot, 5,000 square foot lot. Your expenses are going to be higher overall on those, but on a per stall basis, they're probably going to be lower. So is that answering your question?
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I think my questions have been asked already. You guys should go on. Okay. So we'll now go on with, yeah,
Okay.
our next property, which is item number 4, again on Donald Street. Michelle, when you're ready.
File number 22-1041, roll number 120-925-28300. We are valuing the property as it stands of January 1st, 2023, based on economic condition April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as April 1st, 2021 is 2,369,000. In that, the 2023 free assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property has area of 24,177 square feet. It's behind previous property and 4 times bigger square footage compared to 6,000 square feet. It was sold in 2004 for 1 million. On page number 2, I presented subject property picture. So on my first, we can see it's a big red squirrels rectangle shape of property behind our previous on Broadway. This subject property on page number 3 has downtown living section, zoning D, intended to enhance to the primary residential area. Use of building is extended to be primary residential. The building form range from 2-story century homes to low-rise walk-up apartment to high-rise condominium. Urban design reviewed is intent to enhance the pedestrian environment. It's purple color zoning D. On page number 4, subject property market sales comparison or direct comparison approach. Subject property has 24,177 square feet, located on Donald Street, has neighborhood 165 Broadway, Assiniboine, has zoning D, downtown section, living sector, assessed at $97.99. My land sale comparables, number 4 comparables. My 4th comparables on Hargrave has same zoning, but low size, 6,000 square feet. It was sold for $142.28. On page number 5, I presented comparable property 2020 reporter rental rate for surface parking. You can see that index number 13. It's what subject property we're talking about previous on Broadway. Donald altogether has 108 surface stalls. Expense ratio 53%. Monthly rate $200. Casual 15, and net operating income stabilized stall per month $92.81. On page 11, these two previous and current subject property operated by an impact, lot number 90. It has 96 tenants, I don't know, 86 tenants. On page number 13 and 14, I presented, reported to us two parking lots on Donald Street and Broadway. And let's really look on my comparables 15 and 16. My first comparable 6,000 square feet. On Gary Street, you can see that on north, one parcel north, before from our my comparables. Same size of property was developed like a commercial property. On my comparables, number 3 on Carlton, 6,000 square feet, has on North, same size property developed for commercial property, restaurant right now. On my comparables, number 4, same zoning, 6,000 square feet. If you look south of my comparables, has same lot in developed, we can see building on top. So it is my comparables right now empty, use like parking lot, but can be developed by using surrounding properties. My 4 comparables, very well supported, $92.99, assessed for subject property over 24,000 square feet. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Navarro, any questions?
Yes. So these are the same comparables that we spoke about in the previous example?
Correct.
Okay. And the downtown zoning, can you give some background as to what type of development is encouraged in this zoning district?
If you open page 3 of my brief, description of downtown living sector, intend to enhance those primary residential areas. Use of building is extended to be primary residential. The building form range from 2-story century homes to low-rise walk-up apartment to high-rise condominium. Urban design review is intended to enhance the pedestrian environment.
Okay. Have you done any reviews on development demand for multi-res in this area?
No.
Do you think that there is much demand for multi-res in this area?
I assess subject property land value and I presented 4 vacant land sales.
Okay.
Close to the subject property, similar size, very close size, and same zoning. Direct comparison approach usually best method, the most reliable for land value.
And
You would
just to make sure, this is a transitional use parking, but do you still view parking as the highest and best use for this property?
I use value like land value, but
So
using
then you
right
don't
now.
think that parking is the highest and best use?
Income approach for parking lots, it's more artificial. It's very difficult to defend the capitalization rate. And if you want to talk about parking lot, it has effect for COVID, 2 years isolation, was no rarely parking lot use in downtown, but I still presented on page number 5 rental rate for surface parking and subject property, it's index 13.
Okay. And I'm not trying to pick an argument here with you, but is parking the highest and best use for this property, or is it not?
It's temporary use, it can be developed. It can be developed according to zoning from 2-story building, apartment building, high-rise condominium buildings. It's
I'll
huge.
leave my question there. Thank you.
1,000 square feet.
No more questions.
Thank you. Sister, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
And I have no questions. Thank you.
And I don't have questions either. Thank you. Mr. Navarro.
This is 0 Donald Street. I believe there are a few 0 Donald Street in this docket. So the current assessment is $2,369,000. And again, the intended use of the report is on page 3, scope on page 4, conditions on page 5. On page 6, you can see the picture of the property. And this is 24,177 square feet. It's not multiple use, it's actually downtown living, the zoning. The highest and best use is considered to be its current use, which is a parking lot. On page 10, I will, again, we've chosen a rate here of 170. 171, 360 is our gross potential. And we apply an expense ratio to that of 45%, 94,248. We've applied a 5% cap rate to it. We come to a value of 1,884,960. That is a net rate of 93.50. On page 11, you'll find my rates. On page, continuing that, you'll see the income and expenses that were submitted for this property, which are again, related to the property below. Just to answer your question, Mr. McIntyre, because I know you're going to ask it, why didn't I adjust the expense ratio on this lot since it's almost 25,000 square feet? Well, it is because of the income expenses that I submitted. So that is in line with the actual net operating income for the property. And I've come to a net rate per stall based on the income expenses of $91. In this example, I've come to a net rate of $93.50. So the reason is that I didn't see the adjustment of the expense ratio as being necessary in this case. It backed up the net that I was estimating. So I didn't see any further need for adjustments on that. There was an adjustment on the cap rate, and that was a downward adjustment of 5%. And that is basically suggesting that this is one of the better locations. So as I've said in the previous example, we did not accept cap rates as low as $4.50 for parking in just about any situation. 5% is as low as we're going to go. So it is suggesting that it is one of the better cap rates in the city. So the end value that we are asking is $1,885,000. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Shaibu, any questions?
Yes, one question. You would agree that direct comparison approach provides the most reliable indication of value of subject property, correct?
Sorry, can you just repeat that again, please?
You would agree that direct comparison approach of land sale comparison does provide the most reliable indication of value for subject property, correct?
I would not. I would note that the city of Winnipeg has also used the income approach for valuation of parking in downtown until now. So I don't know what the reasoning is for that, but the income approach is the value approach that we've used. We've deemed it reliable. The city has deemed it reliable in the past. I don't know why the change, but we are continuing with the income approach.
Thank you. No further questions.
McIntyre, any questions?
Yes, I have a different question. If you go to page 2 of your summary, you're indicating zoning was M, multiple user sector, yet you testified that it was D, downtown living. Is that correct?
Actually, I actually mentioned it during my presentation. I actually said that it's actually downtown living.
Yeah, so this is an error.
This is an error. Okay, yeah.
The other question was related to COVID. In the previous property, you made an adjustment to the cap rate of 0.25% for COVID effects.
Just 0.25, yeah.
So wouldn't they all have that adjustment in the downtown area, given they're all subject to office building tenants and employees? And
are you suggesting that 5? Why I'm at 5 for this one versus
5.5?
Well, you can tell by the larger size that it is a better property. That's why we've we've suggested a lower cap rate on it. So the previous one was only about, if I'm not mistaken, around 5,000 square feet. Yeah, this one is 25,000 square feet almost. So in that sense, it does present a better picture down the road. We're suggesting that parking is the current highest and best use. And part of that is the reasoning for including that cap rate report and talking about multi-res in the previous example and how there is an oversupply of multi-res. We continue to believe that the highest and best use of this property is parking. But that said, this type of property will have slightly lower risk profile than a property that's only 5,000 square feet, because you can accept more losses. For example, if you have a 24 space parking lot and 10% of the lots are vacant, it's going to affect your bottom line. Whereas on a larger parking lot, it's going to have less of an effect on you. So that's why we're saying that this one has less risk. Should we also account for COVID? We're saying that this is one of the better properties in the downtown. It has continued to have income streaming through it. So in that sense, it wasn't as affected as other parking lots may have. And part of that is probably due to the fact that most of the tenancies that these parking lots support are government tenancies. So in that sense, they weren't as affected. They pay for X number of spots, and those are kind of leased in perpetuity. So that's why their income wasn't as affected. And you can tell simply by the income expenses. If you look at a typical parking lot in the downtown, this would not be your typical. You can see reductions in income of up to 50% during the COVID period, and continuing really into today. So that's why I'm saying that this one has a little bit slightly lower risk profile. So
Okay, that's nice.
Is this any questions?
No, thanks. That was my question too.
Sorry, Lynn.
That's okay.
Mr. Navarro, would you agree that this property, because of its location and size, is very developable? Or is there uses other than a parking lot?
well, it could be developed. I would say that at this moment, it's not something that would be contemplated. And that's not because nobody wants to, it's because, it is because nobody wants to. The market is just not there. There's an oversupply of what you would put in this, which is multi-res, condo, whatever it may be. What we're saying is that it's unlikely to be anything else for the conceivable future. So maybe 10 years down the road, that may change, but we're looking at a very specific time frame, which started probably sometime in April of 2018 and went right through to April of 2021.
This is a question again then. So an investor with a long time horizon could look at it and say, well, I can, collect a 5% coupon on it while I'm waiting, because that's a cap rate. And down the road, I can look to possibly making a lot of money on this property because of its location, where it is, and the size of it. And I think there are investors out there with time horizons of that nature
Who speculate?
who would take the 5% coupon on the waiting, especially due to the fact what interest rates are paying in 2021. Do you not agree?
Yeah. Well, when you look at the highest and best use of the property, you're trying to establish what is the highest and best use of the property. So you're looking at those other factors, those tests for highest and best use. Are you physically capable of putting something in here? Yes, there's nothing preventing you from putting something in here. Is it legally permissible at this point? Well, you can definitely put an apartment building Is it economically feasible at this point to put something in there? That's where I would start disagreeing with you.
No, I agree, but the question is somebody with a long time horizon and knowing that they can collect a 5% coupon.
Sure,
based on
absolutely.
your-
Absolutely, but
you know.
I mean, that's where we start to diverge from market value to speculative value.
I understand, but we're supposed to look at,
Yeah,
best use,
and that's what I
that
asked.
would be something on the road that we're also going to look at. What would a
Right.
willing purchaser pay to a willing vendor? And I think that part of that has to reflect the philosophy that I just indicated here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether offers have been made on this property or not. What I understand is that this property actually, they almost sold it during COVID, along with 280 Broadway, which is the office building that sits right in front of it, including this parking lot, the parking lot beside it, which is the one we just dealt with. That deal fell through because the potential purchaser viewed so much risk in the market right now, they just backed away from it.
Okay. So I think you answered my question as well as you could because it's speculation.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, well, let's go on then with
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, could we have a 5-minute break?
Be nice.
a 5-minute break. We're going to take a 5-minute break right now. Thank you. So here we go. Now recommence. We're now in agenda item number 5. And Ms. Shaiba, when you're ready, you can proceed.
Thank you. File number 22-1728. Roll number 120-9335700. It's belong to OG Investment Limited. We are valuing the subject property as stand of January 1st, 2023, based on economic condition as April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $2,666,000. In that, the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property has 27,205 square feet. It was change hand in 2011. On page number 2, we can see subject property picture. It's rectangle shape. On page number 3, the subject property 0 Donald Street and 115 Donald Street. Those property operate together are impact lot number 383. It's zoning multi-use sector intend to encourage a range of uses, size, activities, and building type to a diverse and vibrant central business district. The building formats are also diverse, ranging from high-rise tower at Portage and Main to more intimately scaled building along Graham Avenue. Urban design review is intended to enhance residential comfort and encourage high-quality building form. We did assess subject property land value. It's located neighborhood 161 South Portage, 27,205 square feet, multi-use zoning at $28 per square foot. I did present 6 comparables, land sale comparables on same page. My first comparables, 242 Hargrave Street. It has 70,000 square feet, 3 times bigger than subject property, and sold at $96.98. Has same zoning, should be upward adjustment for sale from 2016 to 2021, 5 years upward adjustment. My second comparables on Carlton, same neighborhood, 161 South Portage, sold in 2016, very small piece, 6,000 square feet at $100, 3 cents per square foot. My third comparables, 44 Hargraves, sold in 2017, small piece of land, 6,000, downtown living, sold, zoning, $142.28. My fourth comparables, Pioneer Avenue, 171 Portridge in Maine, sold in 2019, similar size, more as 27,000 square feet, same zoning, multi-use sector for $136.64. My other comparables on 127 Banatai Avenue, sold in 2019, around more as 12,000 square feet, commercial zoning, and $94.96. And my another comparables, 170 Banatine, 117 Change District, sold in 2019. It was 11,140 square feet, commercial zoning, and $90.50. We did assess property at $98 per square foot. It's reasonable and fair. On page number 5, I showed comparable property, 2020 reported rental rates for surface parking. We can see my first index, Broadway, Donald Street. It has 108 stalls, expansion ratio 53%, monthly rate 200, casual 15, and net operating income stabilized per stall per month, $92.81. Second index, Donald's, has 77 stalls, has expense ratio low, 37%, but monthly rate $205 per month, $15 casual, and stabilized net operating income per stall per month, $91.79. On page 8, I presented property assessment notice. We have mailer, it's gross income. On page 13 and 14, it's real information as April 1st, 2001 for Donald Street and 115 Donald Street. Those properties operate together as impact lot number 283. We can see how they operate. It's hourly $4 per hours, daily $15 maximum, evening 5 maximum, event 10 flat to 15 flat. Random can be rate monthly $205, $235, $250, 24/7. On page 14, similar information showed that this parking together has 117 stalls. On page 15 to 17, let's look on my land comparables. Our subject property, 27,000, over 20,000 square feet. My first comparables on Hargrave, sold in 2016 for at around $97 per square foot, but bigger size, same zoning. My second comparables on Carlton, a small piece of land, 6,000 square feet, sold for $100 per square foot. My third comparables on 44 Hargraves, 6,000 square feet, sold for $142.28. My new set comparables of Pioneer Avenue, sold in 2019, multi-use, sold same size as subject property, $136.64. We assess less as 100 per square foot. It's fair. And my another two comparables on page number 17. It's a little bit different neighborhood on Bannatyne. Less square footage of land, sale for $95 per square foot. Another property on Bannatyne is irregular shape, around 11,000 square feet, sold at $95.50 per square foot. Our assessment at $98 per square foot is fair and should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Vera, any questions?
Yeah, the first ones relate to 4, 5, and 6 of your comparables. Are these close to the subject?
4, 5, second. We can see land valuation, it's neighborhood 161 South Portridge. My first two comparables, South Portridge. My third comparables, Broadway, Cinnabon 165. My fourth comparables, 171 Portridge in Maine, and fifth and sixth, 170 Exchange District. But all comparables in downtown.
Okay. But you'll probably acknowledge that the market is slightly different in the Exchange District than it is here, right?
Correct. That's why maximum highest price $142.28, my third comparables, but we assess only 98. We took into consideration location and size.
And you reported some parking rates here. I'm not going to ask you the same question again, but there is no income valuation here, correct?
No, it's land value.
Okay. That is my questions.
Thank you. Is this been any questions?
No questions.
Mr. McIntyre, any question?
Just one question. Svetlana, you have the actual year bill, 9,999.
Oh no, no, it's mistake. It's just parking lot, just piece of land. I have to adjust our cost approach. Thank you.
That was my only
That
question.
I have no questions, thank you.
Yeah, it's look. Thank you for these questions. I will clean our records.
Mr. Vera, you can go forward when you're ready.
Yeah. Again, this is 0 Donald Street, and this is file number 221728. And you can see the ownership information on page 2, the size 27,205, multiple use sector, and the current assessment is $2,666,000. Intended use of the report on page 3. On page 4, the scope, conditions on page 5, property maps on page 6. On page 7, you'll see the description of the property. Page 8, we are looking at the highest and best use being the continued use as a parking lot. On page 10, you can see our income workup. So this is, again, 0 Donald Street. This is a 90 stall parking lot. The gross land area is 27,205. It is electrical, it is paved, there is no security. Market is believed to be open market. And in terms of the annual gross, you can see that I've looked at 3 years there. I've stabilized it at a higher rate, and $170 gross, giving us an effective gross rent of $183,600. I've adjusted for expenses. The expense ratio on this one I have dropped to 38.9%. So total expenses are $71,484, giving us a net operating income of $112,116 and the capitalization rate of 5% gives us an end value of $2,242,320. That is, again, around a net install rate of $103.81. And as you can, again, as the assessor's chart also included on page 5 of her brief, her mean was $82.26, median was $84.47, and we are at $103.81. In terms of land rate, we are at $82.42, but again, we are valuing this as a parking lot using the income approach to value. We are looking at the parking rates in the downtown area on page 11, and then the income expenses that were submitted by the owner. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Michelle, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Murphy, got any questions?
I have no question.
Thank you. Ms. do you have any questions?
No questions.
I don't have any questions, thank you. So we can now proceed on to the last item on the agenda, number 6. Are you ready, Michelle?
Yes. 129. File number 22-1729, roll number 12093360000. It's 115 Donald Street, owned by OG Investment Limited. We are valuing the subject property as stands of January 1st, 2023, based on economic condition of April 1st, 2021. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence of this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2021 is $296,000, and that the 2023 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property has 3,024 square feet, has multi-use zoning, was changed hand in 2011. So previous current was bought together. Donald Street and 150 Donald Street, those properties separated together of impact lot number 383. On page number 2, subject property rectangle shape sites. We have same multi-use zoning. We did value subject property at $27.88 per square foot, and I have presented same 6 land sale comparables like previous property. On page 13 and 14, we have information subject property actual rate of April 1st, 2021. And on page 15 through 17, my comparables. So our assessment, my comparables support very well our assess $97.88 per square foot. Thank you. Any questions?
Have you been to this parking lot?
No, maybe I walk by, but not specific for this purpose. I have not inspected it, the subject property, but I am able to completely accurate describe it based on the data we have on file.
Okay, so you can look at your own pictures in your brief, but you can see that it is adjacent to the back lane, and it's about as wide as a car lane. So is there really anything that you could develop this property into?
Correct. It's only 7.62 meter wide. It's a vacant land or can use like surface parking, correct? That's why it's surface parking.
Did you say
But,
7.6 meters wide?
Yeah, because if you look on page number 2, it's everything in meter. It is blue 115 rectangle shape. It has 7.62 meter wide and long 62.786 meter. It's metric, like in Europe. I like it.
And do you think that you can develop anything here?
It's difficult to develop, but direct comparison approach is best is showing the most reliable for land value. If we have provided adequate support data is available.
Okay.
But this property can be merged with a close one. It's happened, and we know about it.
Okay, we're looking at the current configuration of the lot, not what
Yes,
it might be if it's merged, correct?
it's very narrow and only 3,000 square feet, less as all
Thank you.
previous.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Has this been any questions?
No questions.
Mr. McIntyre, any questions?
And I have no questions, thank you.
So, Ms. Chapo, is this property that we're talking about right now adjacent to the one we just dealt with a few minutes ago? Previous matter on the agenda?
Could you repeat questions, please?
I said, is this property adjacent to the property we just dealt with before we dealt with this property?
1 second, we have to check previous 1 second to make sure I'm right. No, they're not together, but they operate same impact.
Oh, the same one as this one. So it's a standalone.
Oh no, they're adjacent. Yeah, you're right. Because when you look on my previous file 22-1728 on page number 2, it's our subject property on 0 Donald and 115 Donald. They're adjacent together.
So if somebody wants to develop a piece of property, go on the property next to it. They could use some tandem, could they?
Yes, because our previous subject was 27,000 and current 3,000. It's owner of these two pieces has 30,000 square feet for future developments.
Okay, ask my question. Thank you. Mr. Vero.
Okay, so 115 Donald Street, this is file 22-1729. And again, this is the property ownership information on page 2, 3,024 square feet, multiple use sector. The current assessment is 296,000. You can see the intended use of the report on page 3. The scope of the work on page 4, on page 5, conditions. On page 6, you can see the pictures, so the overhead picture of the lot, and you can see the yellow highlighting there on page 6. And on page 7, you can see a property description as well. Again, we think that the current use is the highest and best use. In terms of the property, we've looked at it from the income approach. The current configuration is an 11-stall parking lot, which doesn't present too much possibilities in terms of doing anything without maybe consolidating parcels. So our opinion is that the stabilized income is 148,828. No, actually, that's not right. We've come to a net of 10,678, a capitalization rate of 550. giving us a value of $194,145. That is a net rate per stall of $80.89. And you can see the income and expense information that I've submitted here. So they have been netting about $9,344 for this parking lot. And we are asking for a reduction to $198,000. So that is my presentation. I am open for questions.
Thank you. Michelle, any questions?
No questions.
Has this been any questions?
Yeah, just something for clarification, Mr. Navarro. I think on your front page, you have your requested assessment is 198 and your workup comes to 194, 145. Can you just clarify the number that you're requesting?
I will do that actually right away if you give me a second.
Yeah, for sure.
It should be 194,000. So
Okay.
you can see that the effective gross that I've come up to is 20,667. You can ignore what's above that. You can see that those numbers don't really pertain to this. So
Okay.
the effective gross is 20,667. The net operating is $10,678, and the capitalization rate is 5.5, giving us a value of 194,145, or 194,000 rounded.
Okay, and can you explain the 5.5 cap? In relation to the other properties, you've used 5, you've used 5.25. So just,
There's not much you can do with this property. As
Okay.
there is common ownership, and I suppose that would be the avenue is to consolidate these roles. But I guess if we look at it from the fee simple perspective, we're kind of ignoring that. We're looking at this as a single property as it's configured now, not what it could be if it's joined with another property. So in that sense, you're never going to be able to generate very much income out of this property, and its highest and best use is parking. It doesn't really relate well to any of the sales that the assessor has chosen. It's a very unique property. So in that sense, it's going to have a higher risk profile simply because there's not much you can do with it.
unique because it's so small?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
Okay.
not too small, but it's not very wide either.
okay.
So I don't know if you saw the picture on page 6 of my report. You can see a slightly yellow tinge to the outline of the property. And there's actually a car sitting there.
Okay,
So
yeah.
there's not much you can do with this property. So that's why it's got a higher cap rate.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yep.
Any questions?
Just an observation on page 6. So it's 11 stalls, so the access is from the lane?
Yeah. You have to go into the lane to actually get access to it.
That's the only way you get 11 stalls.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
So, Mr. Navarro, would you agree that this property would have a greater value to somebody who has a large property adjacent to it than it would to somebody who's just buying it on its own?
So that is a hypothetical.
Well, it's a question.
Yeah.
I think if somebody's buying it, who had a big piece of property next to it, it's always a big deal.
Certainly, if I own the property beside it, I would probably have a different outlook on the property if than somebody who didn't own it.
So it'd be worth more to somebody who has a large property next to it than it would be to somebody buying it on its own.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
But that's not what we're asking here.
No, that's this question I asked you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's my question. So I think this matter is dealt with.
No, I'd like to summarize a point here.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're bringing up an interesting point. Whether it would have additional value to somebody who owns the adjacent property, but on a fee simple perspective, you're valuing it as if somebody else owned it, not the adjacent property owner.
I agree, but I think it's more than a coincidence that the owner of the adjacent property happens to be the same owner of this property.
Could be, but
Anyway,
yeah,
that's just my observation. Thank you. Okay, so I think we've now heard all items on the agenda today, so we now close the hearing and we'll render our decisions as soon as possible.